Rabbit Hole Roundup, episode 77. OKC puts a ring on it. So guys, in today's episode, I will be giving my rundown of the NBA Finals, and will try my best to wrap up this NBA season nicely. So stay tuned for that at the end. I have a clip from 96-year-old Grandpa, whose wisdom and life advice has been making the rounds all over TikTok recently.
No school like the old school.
And the clip that I'm going to be sharing talks about taking risks and how to learn as you go in life. Then I have two awesome clips from this guy on TikTok who's called Sam Dema, I think, which demonstrate the power of positivity in changing your mood, as well as another clip about how a simple act of kindness changed his day. Then I have a semi-controversial perspective that I wholeheartedly agree with, coming from someone on TikTok. Her name is Sarah Tonin, and she talks about why you don't need to watch the news and you don't have to have an opinion on every issue out there.
It's raining sideways! Sounds rough, Ollie.
Despite what so many people are going to try to convince you. Especially because most likely it's not going to change the situation and will only add to the negativity and division going on. I have a clip from Mel Robbins that talks about how so often we actually psych ourselves out by judging ourselves before anyone else does. And finally, I have a Gary Vee clip about why you're not late to your success, in spite of what it may look like from all of our social media feeds, of course. Anyways, without further ado, let's dive deeper now. Rabbit hole time, let's go.
This is your last chance. After this, there is no turning back. And I show you how deep the rabbit hole goes.
What's happening, guys? Welcome back to the channel. I'm Jared Weiss. If you guys didn't know that, must mean now subscribe to the channel so you know what to do. Hit that subscribe button, make sure to leave a like, drop a comment, let me know your thoughts on this video. Follow me on every platform, and if you guys haven't done so already, make sure to check out my book, Fight Through by Jared Weiss. All the links purchased on my website was jaredbryanweiss.com. That's JaredRyanWeis.com. Buy the book, and also make sure to check out all the awesome shirts I have on there. Every shirt has its own motivational sayings / words in it. Every shirt is 100% organic cotton, so any support at all, as always, is very much appreciated. So let's dive deeper now. So to start things off, I have a clip coming from a 96-year-old grandpa who's been all over my TikTok feed recently due to all of his powerful life wisdom, as well as the fact he's actually totally 1000% with it. And if you didn't know any better, you definitely wouldn't think he's 96 years old. So this clip is about taking risks and learning as you go in life.
So should you take a chance? Always take a chance. Take a chance, and if it doesn't work out, take a next chance, okay? And that's why the chance that you take should be not getting paid a lot of money. Very little, you're getting started. After you get started, you take the next job to do better. Learn a little more, they're teaching you. You know, in Europe, they always did that. That's the way you got a job. You worked for somebody, you learned. You learned a little more, you learned a little more. If you're good, you stayed. If you weren't good, goodbye. And that's the way it should be. I didn't get good by myself. I got good from learning from other people. That's how you learn.
Everyone just wants to make money, and these days it just do nothing. I think it's all about work ethic and all about loving what you do.
Absolutely.
When you love what you do, like you said, it doesn't feel like work.
It's not work.
So it's finding out who you are, trying new things.
Right.
To figure out what it is that you love to do.
Right.
And it's never too late to reinvent yourself.
That's right. Perfect example. I remember I was the top salesman selling our Zenith TVs. They hired a new guy, and the new guy was a good man. He went out with me to see what I do with my customers. We used to sell maybe 6 at a time or 12 at a time. And we went to this customer. He said, would you mind if I interfered a little bit every once in a while? I said, no, if you have something to say it. And the guy said, I'm interested in that. I think I could buy them and have them in my store. This certain model. The other guy said, I'd like to ask you something. Aren't you one of the biggest retailers in the area in New Jersey in such and such another brand? He said, yeah, I am. I buy those in truckload. He said, that's what I heard. I heard you're one of the biggest buyers. You buy in truckload. Why don't you give us an order, this item, in truckload? Buy 6 or 12, buy 100. And the guy said, I never thought of it that way. I don't think I want 100, but how about if I buy 24? And this other guy said, how about if you buy 50? And he said, I guess I could. Okay, put me down for 50. Boy, did I learn a lesson. The lesson is, you don't ask for a little, ask for a lot. If other seller was smart enough to sell them truckload, let's be smart enough to sell them more than 6 or 12. If you don't ask for more, they can always take less.
So this is incredible wisdom. It's first off, don't expect instant success, and part of the whole risk when it comes to betting on yourself, as I found, is it requires a ton of patience, and you may have to find ways to make ends meet while you're figuring out and working on your whole dream life, as I have been. But if you just go for the instant money,
I like money.
An instant gratification and safety of a job that has like a guaranteed salary. Yes, that might feel good in the moment. And of course, just be clear, no judgment at all on that end. But if that's not what lights you up, it won't be long before you're living in the comfort of mediocrity, but like too afraid to take that next leap. And I also love like how she says it's never too late to reinvent yourself. And it just so happens that like this guy, who once again is doing amazing for 96 years old, which is so cool to see, he's now becoming a TikTok star. I'm sure like he never thought that would happen, but he's providing a ton of value and wisdom that's resonating with a lot of people. And the story like that he gave about asking for a lot goes for anything you do in life, and this is key for manifesting your best life. If you ask for a lot, maybe you don't receive it all right away, but you're putting this energy out into the universe that you deserve more, and you combine that with like taking the right actions, and I believe you end up receiving way more than the person who settles or the person who doesn't think like they're worth more.
I'll take it. Who told you to take it? Did I tell you to take it? No.
So amazing stuff and amazing lesson from this guy. Next we have a clip coming from this guy named Sam Dema, where he talks about like how it takes just as much energy to assume the best of a situation as does like to assume the worst.
It takes just as much energy to assume a positive intent about something that's happening as it does to assume it's happening for a negative reason. So you might as well choose the positive. Someone cuts you off, they must be rushing to the hospital to take their mom to a procedure. Someone screams at you, there must be something challenging going on in their life right now, that's why this is happening. Your flight get canceled, that flight was probably gonna have some technical difficulties and we were gonna have a really bad travel day.
And trust me, I've been there plenty of times. Now of course, as many of you know by now, I am an eternal optimist and always try to be incredibly positive, but I'm also someone like who overthinks things and can get like a lot of anxiety about something not working out the way I hope it should. So I've had those thoughts where it's like, if that person doesn't text me back, they don't like me.
He hates me.
Or if that person didn't smile at me today, it must be something I did or something I said. But so often, and of course there might be times where the worst is true, but like the vast majority of the time I found, like that person did have something going on in their life. Maybe that person wasn't feeling great that day. Maybe that person had like a big fight with a family member the day before, or whatever it may be. But as he said, it takes just as much energy to assume the best as it does the worst. So this could be a chance and an opportunity, and of course something that's easier said than done, but at least it's something we can all be mindful of and catch ourselves doing. Whenever we do start assuming the negative, we can then be like, oh well, last time this happened, it actually was the best case scenario. Or like that person wasn't actually mad at me. Or sometimes I'm just like, does that bad scenario even make sense? And most of the time the answer is no. So we can then shift to the logical conclusion, and also like as the famous quote goes, things turn out best for the people who make the best of the way things turn out. Which of course starts with our belief that like we can do this, because I believe all of us manifest and co-create our reality. Now next up, another amazing clip from this guy Sam Dema was a story about how a kind bus driver was able to turn his whole day around.
I'm angry, frustrated, annoyed, and I walk onto the bus, and the bus driver is sitting in the driver's seat singing his favorite music out loud. I couldn't contain a little smile on my face as I walked past the bus driver. I turned to him and I said, "You must be having a good day." And he looked at me and he said, "Oh no, here we don't settle for good." I was like, "Stop being so positive. I just had a 6-hour flight delay, man." That's what I was thinking. It didn't come out of my mouth. I walk myself to the middle of the bus. I sit down. I'm like thinking to myself, don't let that guy's positivity get to you. And I'm sitting there and I'm like, I have to be angry. I have to be frustrated. I have to be annoyed. And then before the bus starts moving, Melvin's like, "Psh, howdy y'all, my name's Melvin. I'm the bus driver on this shuttle bus this morning, but this ain't no bus ride. This is my rehearsal time. If you hear a song you know, please feel free to join in and sing along." First 5 minutes, I'm sitting on the bus, be angry. Don't let that guy get to you, man. Second 5 minutes, I'm like an awkward uncle at a family function that doesn't know if he wants to dance or not. Last 5 minutes, I'm standing up, holding one of those railings so I don't fall over, singing, "Sweet Home Alabama." 15 minutes is all it took for me to change how I was feeling. And I'm walking off the bus feeling like a totally different person. Isn't it crazy that Melvin didn't even say anything to me? Barely spoke to me. But just the way he chose to show up changed the way I was feeling.
Love that clip. So I absolutely love this story. So once again, just like to reiterate, as many of you know me by now, in spite of all the challenges I've been through in my life, I'm an extremely happy-go-lucky, positive person. But on occasion, and of course it doesn't happen often, but like maybe I'll start to get down on myself, or impatient, and like I'm someone who's hard about hiding my emotions. I'm someone who always wears my heart on my sleeve, but like whenever my dad or mom catches me in one of these moods, sometimes one of them will come up to me and like make a joke, or will actually put a smile on my face, and I can't help it but smile. And sometimes that's all it takes for a positive, optimistic person like me to reevaluate why I'm mad or upset, and I can then see the whole picture, which includes the possibility for something really good and really positive to happen next. or at the very least I can start shifting my focus onto tomorrow. And of course, as I'm always saying, we do need to feel all of our feelings and ride them out fully, and not be denying them. But sometimes all it takes is someone smiling at us, or a bus driver singing to make you forget what you were upset about in the first place.
The one and only.
So why are you driving a party bus now?
I love parties. I love buses.
So very powerful reminder there. Next up, I have a clip from someone on TikTok who calls herself Serotonin. Awesome play on words. And the clip talks about how you don't have to watch the news and you don't need an opinion on every issue.
Probably gonna get canceled for saying this before I even have a platform, but you do not have to watch the news. You do not have to watch the news. It's within your power to limit your exposure if that's what you feel is best for you. It does not mean you don't care about what's going on. It does not change your values as a person. You have every right to control and limit the media and information that you consume on a daily basis because it's a lot. You have every right to want to be connected in your live life, in your local community, in your close friends and family. That is valid. Stay safe out there, everyone. Move with kindness, move with love. That's all I'll say.
It's so important to protect your own peace because if you're not at peace, then everyone else loses. And yes, I know this is unpopular in this day and age, but I've seen everything flip back and forth enough times where it's this side is right and this side is wrong.
Right, wrong, right?
And look, don't get me wrong. There's nothing wrong with having strong opinions. I of course have strong opinions myself, but recently I've been able to find a lot more peace within by not feeling the need to pay attention to every single news story out there. The news, as we all know by now, is all about pushing fear and division and making you think the world is ending or these issues are the ones that you have to support. And once again, I know this channel started out with a ton of news and politics and conspiracy theories, and I still do touch on these things from time to time when I believe there's a positive takeaway from it, or if it's something I don't agree with the way that others have been covering it. But initially, I thought to myself that talking about some of these divisive issues was the best way to bring light into the world and show what I believe to be the truth.
You can't handle the truth.
And of course, there is still a place for these things. But I reached a point where my comment section would become so hateful and so divisive when my whole goal is to spread positivity, love, and kindness and to truly genuinely help people. And yes, I know the truth isn't always popular, and it doesn't mean you shouldn't speak it. But I think a lot of the times we'd be better off actually highlighting positive stories and actually actively spreading love and kindness. Because when your sole focus becomes, how do I get on the right side? Or who do I support? I believe much of the time, we've fallen into the trap. They want you to pick a side and dehumanize the other side or other groups of people. But if you do that, we're never going to find peace. I'm on the side of good people, and as long as you don't impose your beliefs onto me, and yes, of course I have my beliefs, and yes, I have shared these plenty of times in the past, but now I realize it's not as important to get someone to believe the same things I do, but it's my goal to put out positive energy and put out positive frequencies, and as long as you don't impose your beliefs onto me, I'm all for live and let live. But so often, and maybe it's sad to say this, but the government is going to do what the government is going to do. The world leaders are going to do what they do, and me sharing my opinions on all those things probably isn't going to change that. But how do I make a positive change for the long term on the world? By setting the example and highlighting what I want more of in the world, helping people achieve success, helping people go after their dreams, promoting love, peace, and unity. And yes, you can and should be aware of everything going on in the world. Don't let it make you forget about your own humanity, and don't let them stop us from being happy. Yes, there is a lot of real stuff going on in the world, and of course not all of it is good, but you don't help the situation by buying into all the division or spreading more hate. So maybe that's an unpopular perspective, but I've definitely seen all sides of every issue, and that's where I'm currently at. Could always change tomorrow, could always change next week, but that's where I'm currently standing, and I think I and the rest of the world are better off distancing ourselves from every news story as opposed to getting so engrossed in it all of that stuff actually becomes our own identity. Next up, I have a Mel Robbins clip that talks about why so many of us actually psych ourselves out by judging ourselves before anyone else does.
Every time you hide, every time you avoid, every time you silence yourself, you're rejecting yourself. You're saying, I'm not good enough to be seen. You're saying, I don't belong up front. You're saying this person is probably going to reject me if I show up on a date and I look like my normal self. So I'm going to reject myself first by covering up what I actually look like. When you stand in the back of the photo, that's judgment. When you sit silently at work and don't speak up, that's judgment. And you've probably brushed it off oh, it's no big deal. It is a big deal. You think that somebody's going to judge you. The truth is, you've already judged yourself. But if you can be honest with yourself, this insight is empowering. Because if you have the power to reject yourself, you also have the power to support yourself.
So this is so true. And I know from my own experience, I know ever since all my speech challenges started up, following the whole acute phase of my life-threatening illness, which I'm still healing from, but I know like plenty of times I've entered, or like I'll enter a room, or be having a conversation with people, and will think to myself, oh, if they hear me stammer and stutter, they're gonna judge me?
They judge me before they even know me.
Or not gonna talk to me anymore. Or what if they laugh at me and make fun of me? And initially also, my speech was actually extremely slurred after getting out of the hospital, but shortly after that I was a camp counselor for a lot of years, and early on some kids were asking me, what's wrong with you, why do you sound like that? You know how kids could be sometimes. But once they got to know me, I actually became somebody their favorite counselor, and they would actually tell me how they forgot something was wrong with me, quote unquote. Same thing when it came to me coaching basketball. A few years ago when I was asked to coach a team, the first game I was actually very hesitant and quiet, until one of the kids on the team who I ended up becoming super close with told me that like the team needed to hear what I had to say, and they all loved and believed in me. And so I ended up coaching this team for 3 years, and if you guys looked at the comments from a recent post I made, from kids on my team, as well as like those not even on my team, but who I just met as being part of the league, you'd see that like they weren't judging me or my speech challenges, but loved me so much as a coach and as a person. And same thing when it comes to having a podcast, or interacting with plenty of people at my gym, where like I'm now often referred to as like the mayor of Lifetime. I would initially psych myself out thinking that they may not want to talk to me. To be clear though, I've never thought of myself as any less for having these perfect imperfections as I'll see them, but I never know how others might react or perceive me. And of course some people can't handle me as I am, but those aren't the people who I want in my life anyways. But as a result of me putting myself out there, I now talk to plenty of people at my gym on a daily basis. I have plenty of people who come up to me wanting to talk to me, and I now inspire so many of you out there every day on social media, I hope. So don't worry about what others may say or may think. Don't psych yourself out of like a really good potential situation or potential experience just by judging yourself too soon. And finally in this week's episode, before I give my thoughts on the NBA Finals, I have a Gary Vee clip that talks about why you're not late, in spite of like what everyone on social media may make you think.
If you're under 30, you got your whole life ahead of you. Once you're 27 deciding you didn't make it because you saw some 22-year-old that did make it, you're just early. I didn't make anything until like 34 is when I started my thing. 34. Did you think at 17 that you would have this much swag, this much energy, this much hunger at 38? No way. You were already in like, right. That's right. Because Because we were there. That's what I'm trying to get these 23-year-olds. They want it so bad. You know why they want it? They're insecure. They want success because they want to prove to their dad that the dad was wrong and they are good. They want to prove it to the girl. They want to prove it to their buddies that, yeah, you got better grades and went to a better college than me, but I'm hustling here and I made it. So they're taking shortcuts. What they don't realize is it's going to feel twice as good at 30 because that means people slept on you longer.
Absolutely.
People clowned on me. When I was 29, here was the narrative on Gary Vee. Oh, he works for his dad's liquor store in New Jersey. He grew up in the college era. A bunch of my friends went to Wall Street, made a couple $100,000 real quick, bought a BMW. I wasn't buying anything fancy. I still don't have anything fancy, right? Now they're starting to figure it out though. And so like, it's a marathon.
So I just got like this big smile on my face when he mentioned how it's gonna feel twice as good at 30 because you know like they actually slept on you longer. He's so right though. In this whole social media era, which is, as I'm often saying, both a blessing and a curse depending on how you use it, but we've become so accustomed seeing all the outliers and seeing all the overnight viral success stories that we forget like that the person who had to slow grind for their success can be just as, if not even more amazing. And I can totally relate with how sometimes I'm just like, I want to prove myself so bad, but then I realize like the only person who I have to prove myself to is me. It's never going to be a fulfilling or a sustainable feeling to only do something for others' approval. And of course it can feel really good to prove the haters wrong, but only if we did it for the right reasons, and validated ourselves first. So let them sleep on you. Don't take shortcuts by selling out or changing who you are, because when you do that, you're sacrificing your own authenticity, whereas I believe if you stay with it, and if you stay true to yourself, yes it may take longer, but you also get there the right way, and you sustain it and it feels fulfilling, knowing that like you didn't have to sell out, and you didn't have to take any shortcuts to get there. It's like a belief I have, and hey, maybe I'll be proven wrong, but I highly doubt it. I don't think it's like that nice guys finish last. I think it just like takes longer for us, but when we do get there, it will feel 100 times better than the person who had to step on their peers or step on their friends or take shortcuts to reach their success. And hey, as Andy Grammer says, if nice guys do finish last, then save a spot in the back for me. Now onto the NBA Finals coverage. So guys, what an amazing NBA Finals. Game 7, two of the best words in pro sports, and like this was actually the first Game 7 in the NBA since the 2016 NBA Finals. Now look, of course OKC won, and I definitely have like a lot to say on that, but first off, I do want to give the Indiana Pacers a ton of credit, and I do have to give them all their flowers. So first off, TJ McConnell is an incredible player to watch, especially for all the young players out there. I mean, this guy is not the most athletic player on the court, but like, he gives it all. He leaves his heart out on the floor, and he dominated that whole third quarter, and he almost brought the Pacers back in the game, especially with Halliburton hurt. You guys can definitely see how confident he is in his abilities, because every time that he comes in the game, whether he misses his first two shots, whether he turns over the ball 3 times, he always comes back and then starts dominating and making a ton of the right plays. Which also takes having a coach who believes in you, because I've had plenty of coaches in my life who would pull me after one mistake, and of course this mistake hits on my own confidence. So I think it's like really cool to see like how a player could bounce back from his mistakes and have a coach who trusts him and believes in him enough to allow him to do that. Also, of course, Halliburton's injury was heartbreaking. It was very tough to watch, especially after Halliburton actually hit like his first 3 threes of the game. But having said that, like, to be honest, I actually don't think Halliburton playing would have been like the difference maker against OKC, especially because I don't think if Halliburton plays, I don't think McConnell has like the same opportunity to go off as he did. But like, to be honest, if the Pacers would have pulled off the series win, I actually would have given the Finals MVP to TJ McConnell. I mean, he's the heart and soul of that team, and he was scoring at will against some of the best defenders in the NBA. Now on the other side of things, the main reason why OKC was able to win this game was because they won the turnover battle by a large margin. I mean, I'm pretty sure like it was like 22-7 in favor of OKC turnover wise, while OKC basically played mistake-free basketball for most of the game, especially because OKC is incredibly fundamentally sound in all facets of the game, as they are super well coached, and also the team leadership from guys like Shai Gilgeous-Alexander as well as Alex Caruso coming off the bench and all of his finals experience definitely shined through and definitely paid off. Shai's passing and ability to get into the paint as well as hitting his mid-range shots was key for them. And also, as we know most of the time, the role players are always going to play better at home. So Caruso played great. Lou Dort's defense was great. Alex Caruso's defense was great. Chet Holmgren had a few key blocks. Unfortunately for the Pacers though, some of the other guys like Obi Toppin, who was incredible like for most of the series, he wasn't really able to get going. And same thing with Aaron Nesmith, who throughout the playoffs was hitting tons of threes and tons of key shots. He wasn't really able to get a shot going, but like, he was still giving it all like on his defense. Casey Wallace chipped in with his own defense and 10 points of his own. Jalen Williams had another fantastic game. However, the Pacers almost made it super close at the end, especially as like Benedict Mathurin came off the bench and he started to come alive on offense. The Pacers showed why. They were like by far the toughest team to finish off in any game in this playoffs, but that's also where I think OKC's home court advantage came through. So overall, all in all, to sum things up, I think the best team in basketball from start to finish this whole season won. They dominated in all facets of the game. They also had like one of the most complete teams I've ever seen. And as good as Shai Gilgeous-Alexander is, and trust me, he was like phenomenal in this playoffs and this whole season, but like he didn't do it all on his own. So the best team won, I think. Credit to the Pacers for putting up an incredible fight, even without probably their best player. They just didn't have like enough left in the tank at the end. I mean, in order for them to win, I think Siakam was going to have to go out for like 40, but he still played well. Andrew Nembhard gave an incredible effort on offense and defense, but all in all, very well-deserved win by the OKC Thunder. And like, I do think it's like very interesting how OKC wasn't able to win with KD, Russell Westbrook, and James Harden, but like now they're able to win with like a whole new group. Anyways, awesome season. And now also in some other basketball news, Kevin Durant got traded to the Houston Rockets today for Jalen Green, Dylan Brooks, and like a bunch of picks. Now I think like this indicates like the Rockets are contenders right now, and they're of course playing for right now. KD, you can say what you want about him, but like this guy is still putting up 27 a game at 36 years old, and like I don't think he's slowing down anytime soon. The Slim Reaper is still one of the top scorers in the NBA. And especially as we saw like in this playoffs, Houston's main struggles were being able to find consistent offense, especially if like it wasn't on fast breaks. But now that you have KD, you have that automatic offense. So I think this trade definitely puts Houston in win now mode. Suns, of course, you get a young rising star in Jalen Green, so it's definitely going to be an interesting change-up for next season. Also in other basketball news, this week in the Big Three, Joe Johnson dominated once again. He put up another 30-piece, which out of 50 points is like pretty crazy. And he was able to beat the team that had Michael Beasley and Lance Stevenson on it. So some stuff to watch out for in the Big Three. Really good competition this year so far. I'm definitely liking what I'm seeing. Anyways, that's your sports talk for this week. Hope you guys enjoyed all the basketball talk. And I hope like for all my basketball fans, you guys were able to learn from some of these players, watch victory, and see some awesome fundamentally sound basketball. Anyways guys, I hope you guys enjoyed the video. I hope you guys enjoyed all the messages. Let me know your thoughts on the finals. I will catch you guys next time. Stay positive, stay hustling, stay grinding. Subscribe to the channel. I will catch you next time. Much love. Peace.